Hey you guys, Lissandro here, and today I'm doing the beginning of my communication series. I mentioned this on my April monthly blog, so anyway, let's get started. So, not long ago, I did a live stream on my Facebook timeline, basically covering the topic of debates, arguments, and heated arguments, that sort of thing. And it was basically a recap of my previous live stream, was my first live stream, which I was covering a YouTube boycott. So I got thinking, and what better way to start off this communication series with something related to it? And basically, a lot of us are guilty in regard to this, and when we debate or have arguments, things like that, and generally is the reason why we end up in heated arguments. And for that reason, I named this video "We Are Our Worst Enemy." And the reason why is because a lot of us generally tend to do that mistake in which we involve our emotions, we involve our own feelings and what we believe. And a lot of the times that generally tends to cloud our judgment. And because of that, we generally tend to not be level headed. We tend to not think clearly. And what ends up happening is that we end up spewing rhetoric, we end up getting upset and angry. But what I want to say is that if we come to think about it, why we get upset, and it comes down to one, we get upset without us knowing it a lot of the time, is because the other person does not believe what you believe. In a way, we're getting upset because we can't convince the person to believe what we believe. And like I said on my live stream, you're not going to convince a person to believe something they don't. At the end of the day, it's their choice whether they choose to believe what you say or not. And because of that, it is all about what you choose to believe, what you choose, regardless if it's a subjective or an objective concept. Because even if you can have, like, in a topic, you can have all the evidence and everything that strongly supports it, and that really may be the case. But the hard part is getting the other person to actually believe what you're saying, what you're claiming, or what you're actually confirming. Okay, and there's a couple of things I want to mention. One of the mistakes is not being level headed, not keeping their cool, not keeping calm, because there's plenty of people that know how to debate, and the other person may say completely stupid shit, but they know how to keep their cool. There's others that don't, and that's what the problem is. That's what I tie to this whole deal with protesters, social media, SJWs, and all this other nonsense. The second thing that I want to focus on is the whole deal with pride. That whole irrational feeling that actually having the last word or actually proving your point. Now, I have a problem with this, and the reason why is that it ties into this whole deal with being a sophist. Now, let's take a look what the word sophist means. Okay, so the word sophist, it says a paid teacher of philosophy and rhetoric in ancient Greece, associated in popular thought with moral skepticism and suspicious reasoning. And the other one, it says a person who reasons with clever but fallacious arguments. In other words, this is a person that basically focuses on winning the argument rather than actually proving the point. They do not care if they are right or wrong. They don't care if they are honest or dishonest. All they care about is winning the argument. And that's the case with a lot of people. All they want to do is push their agenda and actually win the argument against anyone, regardless if they are wrong or if it's an inconvenience or if they are dishonest. So anyway, that's generally one of the factors that affects this whole deal with like arguments. People generally try to win the argument regardless if they are right or wrong. All they care is about their own personal agenda to prove their point without reasoning if they are right or wrong in that sense. And that's something I forgot to mention in my live stream. The whole concept of being a sophist. Generally, there's a saying that I remember my philosophy teacher saying that something along the lines of a sophist makes a great lawyer, something like that. But anyway, focusing on this, people generally want to have the last word in regard to arguments. People generally want to be first, want to be focused in the whole deal with like winning the argument, but they don't focus on the thing that mainly debates are about, and generally what a debate is about. And it's not about winning the argument, it's generally about learning from one another. When you debate a person, you're contrasting your points of view with the others and generally learning from one another. And that is the point of a debate. Although given that there are certain debates which are intended to win, like for example political debates and things like that, which generally I consider a lot of the stuff that politicians say just rhetoric and things like that. But anyway, the whole deal is generally learning from the debate, not trying to impose your ideologies or concepts on one another. That's not the whole point, because in either case you both end up losing. Why? Because at the end of the day, you're not gonna convince them, and you're gonna either one of you is gonna end up frustrated. Why? Because you couldn't convince the other person. Either one couldn't convince each other, and you're gonna end up frustrated. And because of the fact that debates generally tend to spawn heated arguments, or like my friend likes to say, spark fires, it generally creates enemies. It generally creates separations. It distances people from one another, and that's generally the reason why a lot of people don't like to debate, because it sparks arguments. It sparks heated arguments. But anyway, just keep in mind that when you argue with someone, try to keep a level head. Try to use logic and reason. Try to make rational arguments. Try to be open-minded in here, and you decide what you choose to believe in regard to what the other person's saying. If the other has a much more reasonable argument, consider it. Don't be center-minded in your own ideologies. It's like I said on my live stream. What Sargon of Akkad said was that he does not like to be regimented to ideologies, because people aren't open-minded in the sense of being able or willing to correct some of their concepts where they might be wrong in, or where they might be completely ignorant of. But anyway, guys, the next topic I'm gonna be talking about is being sophist in regard to like winning the argument and stuff without actually considering reasoning, things like that. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and bless you my Patreon, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.